Yo, how cool are you with Barack? I feel like me and your dad were talking about Barack a little off camera when he was here with your brother. Like, are you like, can you text Barack Obama?
I don't know that I have Barack Obama's number. I don't think I even have his number.
Have you shot hoops with him?
No, I never shot hoops with him. I've been to the White House a couple of times. My dad used to work for him in the White House and at the Senate level. Yeah, like I don't like know him where I like talk to him on holidays and stuff.
But
I met him. Yeah,
White House is sick.
Yeah, super sick.
Do you feel like? Because I do think I don't want to get into politics too much, but I do feel like right now we're in this crazy space, and I'm glad that you acknowledge what's going on with ICE. Because it's obviously hit a lot of communities all over the country. Chicago's got a big Latino population. Yeah. LA right here. But for you, man, could you ever see yourself going in that direction, like on an official capacity?
No. I was just saying this yesterday. Like, I think the prestige and facade of honor that was originally attributed to being a public servant is like kind of gone. And I think I have a better understanding now that to be, in certain offices makes you a part of the system in a way that like is kind of unavoidable. Unless you want to get JFK'd.
No, you see, bro. Yes, that is a fact.
I don't know if that was too radical to say. No, I don't mean it in a disrespectful way, but I'm just saying.
JFK was talking about getting rid of certain organizations. Mm-hmm. He was calling out certain countries, and then he died. You know what I'm
Mysteriously. So I think like
no, you're right about that. It's like because we'll see.
And I'm not afraid of death in that way that like my words or my actions are less important than my immediate safety most of the time. But I think there's an understanding that I have now that you participate in a global community that's tied to capitalism and the death of brown and poor people across the world.
Man.
That is unavoidable almost. And so some of the strongest people in our nation right now are just people with pens and papers and microphones.
Yes, because they influence culture. Right?
And they push the revolution forward.
This is the thing I'll say. It's like, when we see everything that's been going on in the world, it's like, for better or worse, it seems as if like our politicians they're forced to react to the people at certain points in time. Mm-hmm. And when I think about what's going on with like in Gaza right now, if it wasn't for the internet, if it wasn't for like Sean King early on, like a lot of this stuff we wouldn't have seen. And now you see people and they cannot not face it anymore.
And they still, to a certain extent, act like their hands are tied. The heroes in this, you know how many journalists have been killed in Gaza?
Everyone from Al Jazeera is dead.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so to be somebody with a microphone or a pen or paper, and to be a documentarian in this era is like something of great responsibility and of great, great risk. And you can end up giving your body to the movement by just trying to give your blessed gift to the movement. And so I champion the journalists and the writers and the people that speak out in this time so much more than any politician.
100%.
And I think like the people are motivated by people telling the truth and being, voices for the voiceless. And it makes them feel like they have a power too. And, I think we're naturally inclined to want leaders and politicians, I think anybody can and might have a good heart going into it. But
like your intent's good. And then when you get into the system, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
And I got to peek behind the curtain and there's really nothing. You got to play ball. You're going to get primaried or,
And I think there's also like a level with both artists and, people seeking public office that there is a level of selfishness and like wanting to be, voted for and liked.
There's there is a vainness to being a politician.
To be a public facing figure, period. And I think that like I don't believe totally that everybody that goes into that specific workforce of working for the US or the powers that be are completely naive or like, you know, unaware of those pitfalls in politics. Maybe they just believe that they won't. I don't know. I don't know what it is. And I'm not dissing politicians. Like we need
good
at the
people.
local level.
We need good people. And I think finally, like it feels like there might be a moment happening where like things could turn because the people have almost gotten a peek behind that curtain to a point where they're like, oh, no. You know, tell me, I always have this analogy so I always say, if you go through Ye's albums, he'll always kind of sample a human. I think Kid Cudi, 808s and Heartbreaks. I think Travis Scott was around for a lot of the stuff. I felt like he sampled your energy for the life of Pablo because it felt, obviously, Ultralight Beam to me is one of the greatest songs ever.
Yeah, thank you.
One of the greatest intros ever. Can you just kind of you were around for that album, for that. I feel like, there are fans who say it's like Ye's last great album, and but don't want to get into that. But what was that process like being around creating that album? And obviously, Ultralight Beam's an all-timer, man. Put it in the rafters.
Yeah.
That's like your hero at the time. I remember how big of a deal that was for you.
It was I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was 23. I hadn't even put out Coloring Book yet. It was 3 years since Acid Rap came out. I'm working on this project at that time that, I'm thinking is going to be radically different from anything else out. Nobody was rapping, in a mainstream capacity. And I wasn't even mainstream, but like was rapping about their faith, on several different songs or using that as like a blanket theme for their project. And, growing up, Jesus Walks was like, was the song that my mom loved.
Of course.
So it's like I had that was crazy. I was I was a kid and I was very like, even though I had I had my kid yet? I don't know. Yeah, I did have after I just became a father. And so the idea of like working with this person that influenced me so much and, being able to write on multiple songs and like kind of guide, the workspace and at times was like, it felt crazy. And I was let in like slowly. So it was like, I came in to do a feature verse at the crib. That didn't end up getting used. I came and did a rework of the verse. That didn't get used. And then he asked me to come in and do Ultralight Beam, which was me and Nico Segal, who plays horn on all my records and produced on Letters and a bunch of other stuff that I've worked with. Did Surf, Donnie Trumpet and the Social Experiment. We sat and like worked on that Ultralight Beam beat for like a whole day. And then I got brought back a few more times. I ended up writing on, I think, 4 other songs and was there like through the completion of the album. And it was a very like, it's just, it's hard to like even remember everything from it, but I do remember I was gassed as fuck. Like,
I remember you were,
I was hyped up for that. Like that's what, I think everybody also like, just for perspective, everybody has a rapper that they grew up loving that, is typically from their hometown, that they have some sort of like, they identify with that person at a young age. That person almost becomes a part of their identity.
Facts.
And imagine if that person was Kanye. And imagine if like you're from the same city as them, you become a rapper. It's like I'm getting super caught up on my words. I think all I'm trying to say is like that time, it was very formative for me because it was that was the last bit of times of like me before like launching into like what I feel like I'm still on.
Yeah, I mean, like if you think about like Coloring Book comes out, everything changes, man.
No, 100%.